Hi Keller Williams family, this is your friendly designated broker Ron Almberg, and again just back with another video to remind you of things that you may have forgotten or maybe things that you don't know. And again, I am referring to the revised codes of Washington State because we just had a couple of DOL audits this last fall and things came up in that audit. Now if you're licensed also in Idaho or Oregon, you need to be aware of those state laws as well. But when it comes to the audit that we had in our Washington offices this last fall, there were a couple things that came up, and I just mentioned a couple in previous videos. If you didn't catch those, go back and watch them. But in this one, I want to talk about another disclosure, and that's the disclosure of agency. We talked about the disclosure material effects about a property that you may be aware of, but the other one that sometimes caught us is disclosure of agency. Who are you representing? Are you representing the seller? Are you representing the buyer? Or are you representing both? And do both parties understand what that means? So it's very, very important that you make that very clear. So it's written in the revised codes of Washington that you're going to provide a pamphlet of the law of real estate agency to your clients that you're providing real estate services before you write any contract for them. So you should do that right out of the gate. Now, my recommendation for best practice is you give them a copy, you have a copy of the front page of that, and you have them initial that, and you put that in your file, and you upload that into the firm file. There's also the Form 42, the agency disclosure, that you can have them sign as well. It has big, bold letters there that they've received a copy of the Law of Real Estate Agency pamphlet. It does say in a paragraph in the purchase sales agreements that we have that they've received a copy, but that's in fine print, and you need to make sure and maybe highlight that and underline that. I know a couple agents who they underline that and have their clients actually initial that. But you need to make sure that they understand who you are representing, and that if you're on the other side and you're representing the seller and you run into a buyer, they need to understand your agency duties are to the seller. If you're the buyer and you're meeting the seller, you need to make sure they understand. Claims have been made because agents haven't made that clear, particularly in a dual agency relationship. When they are working with both the buyer and seller, the claim is made that they weren't aware, or that they weren't aware of the limited practices that their agent has because they're also representing the client on the other side of the transaction. So again, just making you aware of that, make sure you keep that top of mind as you work with your clients and advise them. Thank you so much.